Alabama, Indiana coming up in about a week. We'll tell you why it's a monster game, not just for these playoffs, but really for college football.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him usually, but not today. Today, it's crossover time. Locked On Hoosiers Jacob Goins is with me today to talk about the big Rose Bowl game coming up. Jacob, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's a wonderful time of year, something Indiana fans have not said very often, but the last 2 years have been very excited for this time of year. So great matchup we have, and I'm excited to talk about it.
You know, I'll give you full credit. You made the template for this show because I am technically inadequate. and that's just, I call it like I see it. I'm an Alabama fan that's been an Alabama fan for a long time. I graduated from Alabama in 1995. So I've seen a lot. I've been to a lot of national championship games. I've been to every one of the championship games Alabama's had that they've been in since 1992. So I've seen a lot of stuff. Indiana fans, I get it. They haven't. They're having a good time right now. It's really a pretty cool story. I'll tell you the truth. Last year, I didn't buy into y'all. I really thought y'all would go to Notre Dame and get walloped, and you did. I mean, you can say you made the score close late. Okay, whatever. But for the most part, I thought that's what would happen. This year, I was like, if you want to keep being put up there, y'all need to show me something. Yep. And they did. They showed me something. They showed me a lot of something. And now they're number one. The one thing I don't get, and again, I appreciate what Indiana's done. Man, a lot of y'all's fans on Twitter are full of hubris and arrogance right now. And I'm like, hey, let's pump the brakes for a minute. Why don't you just enjoy the moment instead of yelling at everybody?
I think that was the mentality a year ago, was enjoy the moment, right? Because that was the best year, the greatest year in the history of Indiana football, one that we had never, ever seen in Bloomington. But then coming into 2025 was like, all right, let's see what happens. Because you're right. The games last year against Ohio State and Notre Dame, the Hoosiers were just outmatched. And most of that was up front. And we know how that goes in big boy football. But Indiana figured that out. And then they went and got another quarterback and they brought a bunch of dudes back. And 2025 has been all right. Let's see what happens. And as you continue to rattle off big win after big win after big win, most of those in dominating fashion, it was like, oh, wow, this team is actually really, really good. And so I think Indiana fans are enjoying the moment, maybe some of them a little too much, but I do think that their confidence is warranted, being the number one team in the country, Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. I think statistically the best defense in all of college football. All of that brings a lot of confidence from the fan base, but the important thing is the team on the field and the coaching staff, right? In this matchup that we have between the Alabama, the blue blood, right? The team that's been there so many times versus Curt Signetti, the new blood. I just think it's fascinating, man. I really do.
Oh, I do too. I'll tell you, and again, I also get that the fan base is sort of being a mirror image of the coach. Curt Signetti is a sort of a Google me guy. I mean, that's what he does. And so the fans have latched onto that. And again, kudos to making it work for you because he's won back-to-back coach of the years. I mean, that's pretty doggone incredible. I mean, I can't give them any more praise than I'm giving them. I'm just saying, I'm letting you know as an Alabama fan, most Alabama fans are like, hey, we're kind of looking forward to this game, but Indiana fans are talking a lot more trash than we've heard from like Georgia fans, which is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. And again, I think a lot of it is just Indiana fans happy to be here. And look, you haven't been in this position. This is now the biggest game that Indiana football has ever played in. It was the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. You won that. And now you come into the Rose Bowl. Just, a place you have not been very often. It's against Alabama. We know the different ties, right? Between DeBoer and Signetti and Bama and IU. It's super, super cool to see those things. But I think Indiana fans are just excited to be here. They're confident in their football team, and they should be, because I think the Hoosiers pose a lot of matchup problems for Alabama, which we're going to get to that in the second segment coming up. But The only thing that I think cannot happen for Indiana is to go out here and get embarrassed, right? And I don't think that happens. I really don't. But I think you're right. It's the fact that Indiana feeds off of its coach and Curt Signetti. He's a very cocky guy. There's no doubt about it. But it's borderline arrogance. But I always believe that the line there is if you can prove it, if you can back it up, if you can talk, that's great. But you got to be able to back it up. And what's wild is that Curt Signetti has done that everywhere he's been, but he's also doing it at Indiana, of all places, which you zoom out and take off the cream and crimson glasses for a second. This is awesome for college football. This is fantastic. It's different. It's exciting. It's something new. And I think this is good for the sport overall. But Indiana fans are excited, but the team's got to back it up in the Rose Bowl. There's no doubt.
I guess, and I'll get off the soapbox of it. I've just been taken aback a little bit online by some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And, because again, I expect it from a lot of SEC folks. I mean, we do it to ourselves all the time. I mean, we're pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like we turn around and here's Indiana looking great. And I think most people are like, this is a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
We didn't know that you were going to flip us off while we were telling you that. We just didn't know. But again, and again, if that's the way it wants to be approached, just all I say is keep the same energy if you lose.
Sure.
That's all I say. Because look, I've been on the other side of that thing too. I mean, certainly Alabama fans have had the right to be arrogant for a while, but I've also learned my lesson on that now that I'm 53. I've learned, it's probably best just to let the game play out and enjoy the win and have your own despair in the loss. That being said, this Indiana team is a lot of fun because it's not even arguable. I think they were the worst Power 4 team there was before.
Yeah, they had the most losses in the history of football. Like they had more losses than anybody. And now in a 2-year span, they've completely turned it around. And that's what's so cool to me about, yes, it's new blood, old blood, or, blue blood or whatever. But you're talking about Alabama, a team that has won several national championships in my lifetime, where the expectation every single year is to win the national championship. And when you don't, they are disappointed. They're not like, well, we'll get them next year. They're mad. They're livid. I know. I totally understand. But now you've got Indiana, who they're at the same level, if not a little bit different, but in such a short amount of time. I think it just shows where we are in college football, right? With the transfer portal, with NIL, with things like that. I mean, you don't have to have just a buttload of 5 stars to be successful. Indiana has 0 5 stars, not a single one on the roster. And they're the number 1 team in the country compared to Alabama, who on paper, talent-wise, Luca, you know this, they're much more talented than Indiana. It's about development and retainment, though. That's where Indiana's niche has been. But Alabama's extremely talented, and Kalen DeBoer has proven me wrong several times, including the game against Oklahoma, which is why I think this game could go either way, depending on how it plays out.
Yeah, I certainly think it's going to be very close. And I do think, I've been telling people that this week. I said, I think Alabama's got overall better players, probably more, but not probably. They have more players that'll play in the pros. But the thing Indiana has is chemistry, and they've had it for, 2 years now. And it's worked out well. You can't put a finger on it. I love that about sports, that I love the intangibles. If it were all just, hey, these 5 stars are going to win, you wouldn't even have to play the game. There is some tacit stuff out there that you just can't put your finger on, that you go, this doesn't make sense. But they're still winning. And I also applaud Curt Signetti for turning down overtures from other schools and sticking with Indiana. I am a blue blood guy. Obviously, if you're an Alabama fan, you're probably a blue blood guy. I'm not a fan of the Cinderellas. Last year, I thought it was terrible that SMU got in over Alabama. I just did. I just said, I don't like it that you don't play anybody and then still get rewarded. I don't like that. Yeah. But this year, I would have had Notre Dame in, no doubt, but I would have had them in over some of these G5 teams. I wish we didn't have those auto bids for them. That's me.
I agree with
and
that.
Everybody goes, what about the NCAA tournament? Basketball is a whole different animal, number 1. And number 2, I went to a Final Four. By the way, my first Final Four ever was back in 92. I went to see Duke, Indiana, Cincinnati with Bob Huggins and the Fab Five. Tell me a Final Four. Would you rather go see that Final Four or one with Loyola Chicago? I can tell you which one I'd rather go see.
Yeah, you're spot on. And I think the G5 showed themselves and showed the world this year in the college football playoff why they just simply don't belong on the same stage. I'm totally with you on that. And Indiana used to be in that category. I mean, heck, they were worse than most G5 teams, but now the Hoosiers are here. The Hoosiers are good, and they get to go up against one of the biggest brands in the sport in Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Very exciting.
Yeah, and you guys – but the difference is you guys are part of the Big Ten, which is either the best or the second best conference, depending on how you want to argue it right now. And so you're hitched to a pretty good wagon. So that gives you the whether you want to say that's privilege or whatever. Hey, they've been there forever. And, if Memphis or if Tulane wanted to get in, Tulane was in the SEC at one point and they got out.
Yep.
A pretty bad decision looking back way back when. But regardless, the new blood, new blood, blue blood thing is a great way to look at this. And I think it certainly is going to lead to a lot of arguments from folks. Right now, though, I want to tell everybody about FanDuel. Man, I love me some FanDuel. It's awesome. They've been a sponsor for a long time. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game like a sucker. You're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. We saw a lot of that in the Alabama-Oklahoma game. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up, all that good stuff. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your bet, or NFL live bets, I should say, all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you. It's a Jimmy Stein guarantee. You don't know what I'm talking about, but other people will. Sorry for my voice, too. I usually probably sound much worse than this, but I went to the Oklahoma game, and I was mildly sick then. My daughter now has flu B right now.
It's that time of year, brother. Yeah. It is that time of year, man.
And let me tell you something. Oklahoma, this time of year, that wind was whipping a brother right in the face.
Yes,
and,
it was.
It was troublesome to me. But it was a lot of fun. And, again, I was an anti-expansionist. Still am if we got to have auto bids. But you know what? It made me think about next year. I do think this. I think it's unfair that Indiana doesn't get a home game this year.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? And I actually was talking about that going into the Big Ten championship game with Ohio State. If Indiana were to lose, would they drop out and things like that? I mean, I wish Indiana, and look, let's just be real here. Memorial Stadium in Bloomington is not a cathedral of college football. They have a lot of work to do. They're planning on doing that, but they didn't invest in it because it wasn't good and it wasn't winning and they didn't care. But now that they are, and Kurt Signetti said, hey, we're going to need this, this, and this, including stadium renovations. Yeah, I would love for the fans to show up and be able to experience a home playoff game. Watching so many of these, Indiana went to Notre Dame last year in the first round of the playoff. Like, this is good for college football. Home games are good, and I think that's the argument for me, even with some of these neutral site games to start the season. Play these on campus, make them home and homes. This is what college football is about. But yes, I would love for Indiana to be playing a game in Bloomington, but having the extra week off to prepare for whoever it was going to be, obviously now Alabama, and the opportunity to go to the Rose Bowl. I mean, what a cool thing for Indiana fans. I know a ton of them that are going out there. Again, biggest game in program history.
You've never been, right? You've never been to the Rose Bowl.
Been once in the 50s, 1953, I believe is when that was. So it's been a long time, right? And so for Indiana, you are going to one of the cathedrals of college football with everybody watching, the number one team in the country. And here comes the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, Luke, I got to ask you, man, because everybody has talked about it and it reared its ugly head in the Oklahoma game, but you end up winning anyways. What's up with the run game, man? What's going on? Where is it? Why did this happen? How did this happen? It's clearly not there, and yet Alabama's still winning football games because that's what Indiana fans believe is the advantage, is the defensive front for the Hoosiers going up against whatever Alabama wants to do offensively.
It sucks. I don't know what else to say. The running game sucks. And look, I'm not saying the running backs suck. I'm not saying the offensive line sucks. I'm not saying the scheme sucks. It's not working. And it's maybe a combination of everything, a little bit of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, running back wise, Jam Miller, who is I think he's still Alabama's leading rusher, but he missed some games. So, I hadn't even looked lately because it doesn't matter. The totals are so low. I'm picking nits. But Jam Miller has been at Alabama for a while. He is not a one cut and he's gone running back. He's sort of a rough and tumble guy.
Okay.
He hadn't had a lot of long rushes in his career. I remember when he was younger, he had maybe one or two, and everybody was so excited about that because Alabama's always had the Derrick Henry or the Najee Harris or the TJ Yeldon or the Trent Richardson or the Mark Ingram. On down the list, we've had a ton of good ones. And we also had Justice Haynes, by the way, who's at Michigan now and who was sort of a breakaway guy. Michigan, came after him apparently and got him and more power to it, but we thought we'd be okay. Daniel Hill is an incredible athlete. But even on his run the other night, which was 41 yards, I believe, and it was the second longest run of the year. Before that, like the third longest run of the year was by our wide receiver on a like a reverse. We just don't have a running game this year for whatever reason. And I'm not going to tell you that I think Jam Miller can play in the NFL to a degree. I think Daniel Hill may be able to if he tightens up on a few things. But see, I think Alabama's best running back may be A.K. Deere, who's a true freshman who hadn't played a ton because he probably doesn't know the system well enough. And next year they get a guy named E.J. Crowell from the state of Alabama, who's probably the number one running back in the country. I call the high school games a lot of times. I've seen him several times. He's unbelievable. So, next year this thing may be fixed. Right now, it's too late to fix it too. It's too late in the game. You can't just say, you can't go to a midterm and say, hey, I'm about to teach you how to read the night before the midterm. It doesn't work that way. You better know that. You better know the reading stuff. And we don't have the basics of running down. That said, we did tear off a 40-something yard run against Oklahoma, which I certainly didn't expect. We had negative yards in the SEC championship game. Auburn sort of held us to a low total. And I expect Indiana will too. But it's sort of like, Indiana, okay, you're going to stop our running game. I'm like, joke's on you. We don't have one. Yeah. So now what? We're going to pass the ball. That's what we do. Now, we don't sling it deep very often. And frankly, when we have thrown it deep, for the most part, it hadn't been great.
Okay.
But what we did we took a few deep shots against Oklahoma, or at least one to Isaiah Horton, which was a beautiful pass from Ty Simpson. He made the catch. And we have had a deep shot against Georgia in the first game this year, hit Ryan Williams right in the hand. For whatever reason, he's got the yips this year.
Yeah, he's almost non-existent, right? He's third or fourth on the depth chart now.
Honestly, Lotzier Brooks, who went off against Oklahoma, has become what a lot of us thought Ryan Williams would be this year.
Okay.
Which is
so crazy to think about.
And it is. And let me tell you something. We call ourselves a Ryan Williams podcast. After last year, we love Ryan Williams. Yeah. I think it's okay to say, hey, and when you look at his stats, you go, wait a minute, it's not as bad as I thought. But the expectation for him was so out of bounds, there was almost nowhere to go but down. So I think next year when he comes back and things have mellowed a little bit, hopefully Alabama's won a title of some description, then I think he will exceed expectations again, because he was also, by the way, an Alabama high school legend. He just won state championship after state championship, and he was the only two-time Mr. Football or something, and he did it as a sophomore and a junior. He didn't play his senior year of high school football. So
yeah, that's wild. And so you've got him, right? And so Alabama's going to throw the football with Ty Simpson, a guy that, look, halfway through the season, I think he was in Heisman conversations, right? He was playing to that level, it seemed like, going up against now Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, who is the Heisman winner. You've got two of the better quarterbacks in the college football playoff, better passers, I would say, in the college football playoff. And then on the reverse side, you've got two defenses that are identical, but Indiana is so passionate on forcing turnovers and limiting big plays. Alabama defensively, break it down for me, Luke. Tell me what we're looking at here for Alabama's defense and what they could try to do against what I say is a pretty balanced Indiana offense.
First of all, it may be a surprise to some people. Ty's statistics are better than Mendoza's.
Yeah.
I mean, actually by a good bit, but I would have given the Heisman to Mendoza, no doubt about it. And Ty was actually projected to be the number one pick in some mock drafts in late October. Kind of nuts, because now most of us believe he's probably going to come back for another year and polish up a little bit more. So, but defensively, I think what you're going to see is this Alabama team is better than you think. The talk of the town is always offense and Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams, and then what's wrong with Ryan Williams and why can't they run the ball? Meanwhile, the defense has just quietly been doing their thing. You look back at the first Oklahoma game that they lost at home. This last Oklahoma game was almost a mirror image of that, except Alabama actually got more yards, doubled up Oklahoma in yards the first time they played. Oklahoma got maybe 1.5 times what Alabama did this time, but Alabama had the pick six. Alabama had a block punt. Alabama got another punt return that led to a short field, and Oklahoma did all those things in the first game. So while offensively they were stopped, but it was our offense that gave them points. And I think that's going to be crucial in this, because you're right. This Indiana defense is very opportunistic. And so if Ty's throws 2 picks and has a fumble, a sack fumble or something, Alabama's going to lose this game. Yep. Because the other problem is I don't know anything about Indiana's special teams, and I'd be willing to bet you dollars donuts they're better than Alabama's right now.
Well, the problem is Indiana special teams doesn't play a whole lot. And that is a subtle flex. That is a weird flex, sure, but it's just true. Our field goal kicker, believe he has 16 or 17 attempts all season. Like that.
But in the Indiana game, your punter had to be somewhat active. That was a 13-10 game, something like that?
Against Ohio State. Yeah.
What did I say?
The Indiana game, but it's okay. Yeah, the Ohio State game. Yeah, I mean, he was, and it's good enough, right? But the thing is, Indiana, that's what I'm concerned with if this is a close game in terms of the punting is fine, not overly concerned. Long field goals, our long kicker is out, Brendan Franke, so he's been down. But Indiana likes to go for it. If it's midfield, if it's short yardage, they're going to go. They trust their offense. They trust their decision-making. They know what they want to do. I know that Alabama special teams have been a little shaky, and how funny was it that it was Oklahoma special teams that lost them the game in that game? I mean, the nation's best kicker, Shanks, a couple of them. Wind was that? I mean, what a crazy game that was. But so I would say Indiana special teams is better than Alabama's, but it's not something the Hoosiers are like screaming from the rooftops about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, trust me, when that kicker missed both those field goals, I mean, the irony was thicker than zoo glass. I mean, I looked around and all the fans were like, we don't know how to react because we've never seen this before.
Yeah, didn't he have like one miss all year?
He missed his first kick, I think, of the year and didn't miss again. And then he missed one because it went over the goalpost, like directly over.
That was crazy too. Yeah, that was wild.
And then the next one was criminally short. I mean, it was wild. But so that's interesting about Indiana and the going for it thing, because that's what Alabama's going to do. You go back to the Oklahoma game, 4th and about 3, Alabama's down 17-0. Conventional wisdom probably says, hey man, just take the 3 points. It's a chip shot. But Kellen DeBoer, and I agreed with him at the time. He was like, if we don't score a touchdown here, I'm basically resigned to lose this game. And so he went for it. Lotzier Brooks makes play, gets touchdown. Go back to the Iron Bowl. As 20-20, Alabama had been up 17-0 themselves in that game. And they were like, okay, let's just go for it. Yeah, we could kick a field goal, but we are haunted by bad field goals and field goal things in this stadium. They went for it, throw a touchdown to Isaiah Horton. Even in the SEC championship game, down 21-7, you're like, hey, what are we going to do? We're on our own side of the field, but it's 4th and just a little bit. We can't run the ball, so they throw. It was a terrible play that wasn't executed well. That's not a good combo. And Georgia got the ball back and scored again. Yeah. But I agreed with what he did, and it shows me his mentality. And that's cool, because you're going to have 2 coaches. Hey, those punters, they may have to stay on the sideline and stretch all game.
Yeah, leave your sweats on and just hang out and watch this game. It should be fun with the coaching matchups, the offenses, the defenses, and if the special teams get in this game, they're going to have to make big plays. But that's why I think a lot of people are split on who they're picking when it comes to Alabama and Indiana in the Rose Bowl.
Well, let's make our picks here in just a minute. All right, first of all, I'm going to be honest with you. This is my first lock of the year for the week. That's what me and my brother used to say about what those gambling services that come up. They go, "Hey, we've got our Big Ten SEC crossover locked on play of the week for the week," because they change it the next week. But I'm not calling this a lock. I'm saying this is my first stab at a prediction because I'm open to changing it.
Sure.
I do want to hear a little bit more about Alabama's health. Alabama got healthier against Oklahoma. They were beat up badly against Georgia. That was not played up enough in the national media. They were missing everybody, and Ty Simpson was hurting. But we couldn't sit Ty Simpson down because if you sit him down, then you sort of give the message that Florida State gave in 2023, like, oh, you don't have your starting quarterback, we'll just leave you out. Yeah. We didn't want to do that. And I think it was the right call, obviously, because we still got in. But LT Overton, it sounds like he may be back. That's one of Alabama's better defenders. He is a mock draft first-round guy, disruptive. He made a huge play in Athens earlier this year to help Alabama make that win. He's been a lot better at sacks recently. Keon Keeley the green light has finally come on for him. I mean, I think the light has come on. The green light is something the coaches give you. The light's finally come on. But Yanzi Pierre, he hasn't been quite as flashy as he was at the beginning of the year, but he's getting better. And I think the fact that Indiana is going to be missing one of their starting defensive players, one of their best defensive linemen due to celebrations, that is weird.
Yeah. And it wasn't anything crazy, right? Hopefully people have seen it. He wasn't, I've said it.
He wasn't moonwalking,
Yeah, he wasn't partying, jumping off of frat houses. He literally was just celebrating along the end zone wall, jumping and high-fiving people, and just came down awkwardly on his leg. But yeah, Stephen Daly, third in the nation in TFLs, one of Indiana's go-get-it guys. He is a true see-ball, get-ball guy. He's out, and he hurt himself post-game after the Big Ten championship game. And so I'm with you. Health is somewhat of a concern for Indiana. That's one of the big knowns. Omar Cooper, Indiana's probably their second receiver. Elijah Surratt, your go-to guy, but Omar Cooper's right there too. He's the one that had the heroic catch against Penn State in the back of the end zone to win that game and gave Fernando his Heisman moment. So
I thank him. Tell him if you see him, tell him thank you. I had Indiana on the money line that day, and it was going to be a bad weekend for Daddy if he didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was going to be a bad weekend all the way around. Losing to that Penn State team was not going to be exciting, but he should be good to go. Had a little tweak, but he said he's fine. Signetti says he's fine, and other than that, Indiana's going to be off for like 2 weeks going into this game. Does that concern me? Yes, it does. But Curt Signetti and this staff, both coordinators, are just so talented, so smart, and extended through several years now, which I think is huge. I'm not concerned about Indiana getting up and getting ready for this game. I like the Hoosiers here. Shocker, I know. But I think Indiana offensively has too many weapons. They're too balanced. The offensive line is starting to really gel together, which is weird to say at this time of the year, but it has taken some time, just to be honest with you. And I think Indiana's defense at all three levels is just too talented. And Alabama having to drop back and throw it 30, 35 times. I just think Indiana will force some turnovers. They'll cash in on those turnovers. I like 31-17 here, Luke. I like Indiana to pull away down the stretch. I like Indiana to win comfortably when it's all said and done.
Well, I'm going to go Bama, and I'm going to go 24-21 Bama.
Okay.
It's kind of weird to pick them winning by a field goal because, the whole field goal thing, we have a real love-hate relationship with all of our field goal kickers who aren't named Will Reichert of late. Yeah. But Cardinal Talty has, he's picked his game up since the chip shot miss against Eastern Illinois. He's played a lot better. And the great thing about it is we haven't needed him to make that pressure kick. I mean, every kick in the playoffs is pressure packed, but we haven't needed him to make like a kick to send us in overtime or something. We hadn't put him in that position. And I think it settled him down somewhat. I also think Alabama's receivers are, with Brooks coming around, Jeremy Bernard's due a big game. And Ryan Williams is definitely due a big game. For sure. And I feel like Isaiah Horton, Josh Cuevas will have another couple of weeks to get better. And with LT Overton's return, I'm going to pick right now, 24-21 Bama. I reserve the right to change this as I hear more stuff, because the way Alabama's season has been going from time to time, you just get news on a Wednesday after you've already decided, hey, Alabama's going to route so-and-so. LT Overton's out, or Kelby Collins is out, or whoever's out, and Jam Miller, things like that. And those are big names that this team can't afford to lose. But I think it's going to be a fantastic game. It would shock me if either team wins by the score you said. I'll be honest with you. I just don't see that. I think both defenses are better than that. And I feel like it's going to be a pretty tight game throughout.
And we'll see. And look, I hope it's a good game one way or the other. I don't want this to be a rout or a blowout. I do think it will be tight. I just think that Indiana will be able to make some plays with Fernando, who's just done it time and time again this season. I'm putting my trust in him. I'm putting my trust in the IU defense. I'm putting my trust in Curt Signetti because they've yet to give us a reason not to. This could be the game. It absolutely could. But if you can get to this point unblemished, I trust Indiana to continue to do so in the Rose Bowl. And hopefully everyone enjoys the moment, enjoys the game, enjoys the atmosphere, because it's going to be one of the best games I think we see of the playoffs this season.
Let me give your fans some advice. I've been to the Rose Bowl a few times. Saw Alabama get whooped there by UCLA in 2000, and I saw Alabama beat up on Texas for the Natty in 09. And then I went to see U2 there in concert one time. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
It is a nightmare to get in and out of, number one. It's literally in the middle of a neighborhood, and it's just a nightmare. So whatever Uber, if you're like, hey, I'll just Uber there, it ain't that easy, because definitely the Uber and back part. Secondly, the stadium, kind of a dump, but the view, you cannot be beaten. It cannot be beaten. It overshadows the how old the stadium looks, because now you do have these cathedrals and all these different places. I mean, if you guys ever come down to Bryant-Denny, you'll say, man, this place is pretty awesome. And compared to the Rose Bowl, but the scenery, the backdrop, it's unbeatable.
And it's just historic, right? It's a historic place. It is.
And the weather is, just good enough for whatever you want to wear. It's just perfect. So all that stuff's pretty cool. And the similarities, forget the history of these two. Although you could even say that's weird. Like, you could arguably say Alabama is the best team of all time, and Indiana was the worst Power 4 team of all time. You could say that. But then the colors, the fact that they're both sort of like in real kind of big, but also college towns. The fact that the coaches are sort of go for it guys, and they're sort of no nonsense, and they're tough and hard nosed. The quarterbacks, man, when I heard Mendoza's speech the other day, I was like, that's about word for word what I'd expect Ty Simpson to say.
Just emotional.
Emotional. They wear it on their sleeve, but they're also good kids. They're emotional without saying I'm the best and you suck. They're saying, hey, we won and I love it and I love my teammates. It's really cool to see the similarities. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. I hope Alabama wins. I know, but Indiana's got a good squad.
Yeah, and it should be a lot of fun. I've enjoyed talking about it, learning some more about Bama. And again, we're still a couple of days out when people are watching and listening to this, but I hope the hype continues to build, and I hope it delivers in everything that we want it to be.
Are you going?
No, I wish it. You know how it is, man. It's easier. Unfortunately, it's easier to be at home and be able to go and react and do what I need to do and watch it from home. But if they make a couple of more games and a couple more trips, I may have to go see it.
Man, I'll tell you what I told people all those years. I was blowing money chasing Nick Saban around. They say, why are you spending all this money? I said, because I don't know when it'll end. And when it does, I'm going to regret the fact that I didn't chase it around. So my advice to all Indiana fans, get out there, spend the money, and just enjoy yourself.
Love it. I love it. It's great advice. And hopefully we can do it several more games after this one.
All right, my man. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun, and best of luck to you guys.
Yep. Same to you, man.
All right. Until next time, roll tide, everybody.